It's witchcraft.
Hey, it's 4:20 a.m. Hi, and welcome to episode 64 of the Stoned Witches Hour. On this podcast, two best friends from way back get together to tell each other spooky paranormal tales from across the US of A, all while smoking copious amounts of the finest cannabis they can get their witchy little hands on. Telling you a spooky story of a haunted object, I'm Layla.
And I'm just like flabbergasted that we're on episode 64, and I'm Chelle. And I'm just like, what?
Right, me too. I cannot believe that we have gotten this far. I'm super impressed with us. Go us. And all these scary stories. I have a backlog of stories. I'm constantly finding spooky, spooky things and getting sent spooky things from our listeners. Thank you, by the way. Keep them coming.
Now, I would just like to point out that after 64 episodes, you think you know a lot about the country. You think you know a lot about ghosts. This has kind of opened my eyes to how haunted America really is, coast to coast, north to south, east to west. You kind of always think that like Europe is really haunted because it's older. No, I've learned a lot about America. I've learned a lot about just events and cities and places and people. It's been great.
It has been great. And it's really funny that you mentioned that because one of the things I wanted to chat about today was the most haunted states in America.
Ooh.
I read an article recently published back in 2021, and it said as of that time, there were 62,482 recorded ghost sightings nationwide.
All right. So you need to tell me, do you have a list? Because I want to guess the top three.
Yes, I do have a list. I
Oh
can
my
tell
God.
you.
Oh my God. Okay. Let me guess.
Okay.
Let me guess.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm going to say, and part of this, it's not just because of where I live, it's because of the age and how long and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to go with Massachusetts. I'm going to go with Connecticut, and I'm going to go with New York.
You're wrong
What?
on all of them.
Savannah, Georgia, someplace where there was gold mines out west. Okay, you tell me.
Actually, the most haunted state,
Drum roll.
Texas.
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 Really?
Really? Followed very quickly by California.
What? See, I don't
Yes.
buy that. I don't buy it. California, no, no, no.
And it's funny, the two of those states blow all the other states away. Far and away. Texas, as of 2021, had about 7,100 reportings, and California had a little over 6,500.
How can California beat Gettysburg?
Right? The next highest state is Ohio
What?
with 2,776. So a big, big difference.
All right, I'm gonna have to start investigating Ohio. I need to find out what the deal is with Ohio.
Right? You mentioned Massachusetts, and they're kind of in the middle, bottom of the pack with about 1,200 sightings. Michigan is higher with 2,600 sightings.
No shit.
No shit. Let's see. Georgia, which I would consider an extremely haunted state, has about 1,700 sightings.
Wow.
Right? Little
Now,
strange.
just because I'm a weirdo, does Hawaii rank on there?
Let's see. So this list that I have here is recorded sightings since 1972. They say that Delaware has the lowest number of sightings,
Because it's so small.
followed quickly by Hawaii, Wyoming, Vermont, and Alaska, all of them with around 200, give or take.
I would have thought with the old Hawaiian culture, Pele, that whole deal, that Hawaii would have had some rage in number.
You'd think, but I guess I'm not surprised. Every other thing I find is in Texas, I swear. Texas-sized ghost stories.
No, I'm on a binge now. I'm actually going to write this down. Ohio, you have placed number 3. I know we have listeners from Ohio. First of all, email Layla and tell Layla, because she checks email more. You tell Layla your Ohio ghost stories because I am down, and I am going to write this down because what has made Ohio number 3? I got to know.
We got to know. There's too much there. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting list. I have loved going all over the US. And my story, actually, you kind of sparked it last episode. I talked about the ghostly ball that people would see going down the hallway from a
Right,
child playing with it. Was it you or I
right.
that said that?
I don't even remember. We were high, but I remember us talking about it.
We were talking about whether objects could be haunted,
Oh yeah,
whether
yeah, yeah. Okay, I remember. I
yeah,
still
whether an
think about it.
object could be haunted or whether it was just really a part of a like a ghostly
Like a
sighting,
replay
a
or part of a
replay ghost.
ghostly replay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I kind of started looking into that for today's episode, and I found a haunted object that I want to talk about that is actually currently owned by none other than Zak Bagans.
No shit.
Bagans? Is it Bagans?
I always call him Zak Bagans. If we're wrong, dude, please email us.
Contact us.
But if you are listening and we did pronounce it wrong, please go back to previous episodes where we thoroughly discuss how I never pronounce anybody's name right. So here we are.
That's very true. So, yes, it's currently owned by our friend Zak.
No, no, no.
Mm,
Before we delve,
yes.
if I got something for you.
Oh, I'm excited. What have you got today, Chelle?
So remember how I've been on to this new store,
Yes.
Mission.
On a mission to get to mission.
I was like, ooh, time to go to Mission. So I go, I'm looking at the menu. And usually the way the menu goes is it's like as far as pricing, you'll have like what do you call it? I always call it a flavor. What is it? A
Cultivar.
cultivar.
Or a strain.
Strain. We'll go with strain. Easier to say. So you'll have a strain and then it'll have the prices. It'll be like an eighth, a quarter, a half, and an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm scrolling and I see this one and it only had the pricing for an ounce, which we'll get into the pricing in a minute because that's also part of this.
Okay.
So I saw that it was only an ounce and I was like, oh, well, I'll get that. Now, you want to know why I got that?
Why?
Because it was freaking $151. Now, remember I told you last time I had the 10% off coupons?
Yes.
So after tax, I paid $148 for an ounce, which if you're in Massachusetts, that is unheard of. I know our listeners can't see this, and I do apologize. But one package.
Whoa.
One package. Now, usually if I get an
That
ounce,
is a big jar.
usually if I get an ounce, I get 8/8.
Right.
And we always bitch about packaging and how I'm like, what the hell are you giving me all these? So I'm holding up a normal eighth container.
And then it's Big Brother.
And it's Big Brother, which funny says small batch. This is GMO. It is 29.75 THC. So I got 29.75 THC, whole ounce, 148. What?
That is amazing. Nice price right there. How is it? Does it look good? Does it taste good? How's it smell? How's it smoke?
It smokes really good. It's one of those flavors that's kind of like, how do I describe it? I don't want to say grassy because it's not grassy. I don't want to say weedy because it's not weedy, but it has that like plant-based taste.
Okay,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
it's got that kind of green kind of taste, you know. I know what you mean when you say kind of grassy. I like that taste.
Here's a problem with this weed. I'm going to explain to you a big problem I had with it, smoking it last night.
Okay.
So I'm smoking. I'm up late because, it was a weekend. I had the day off. It's about 1 a.m. and I had smoked a bunch.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I had no choice. Like, I had no choice. My mind had no option in this scenario. I had to have a KFC mashed potato bowl. So here I am at 1:45 a.m. eating frickin' Kentucky Fried Chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, popcorn chicken. And then I had a frickin', what do you call it? A ho-ho, those chocolate cakes filled with icing, frickin' 2 o'clock in the morning. And I am stuck in my damn face.
You know it's good weed when it dictates the munchies.
Then I start eating my sparkly wild berry peeps. And then I think to myself, I'm like, it's 2 a.m. and I'm eating peeps, man. I need to go to bed. So like, it's good, but like, you just start wanting to you want KFC, you want peeps. Like, it's bad.
That sounds good to me. That sounds like you got some good weed.
Yeah, well, you're not sitting there eating a freaking KFC chicken bowl at 2 a.m. either.
That's true.
Because
I
I
did not have to
was.
deal with the
Because I
belly that you
was.
had to deal with later that day after downing KFC and sparkly peeps in the same sitting.
Put it this way, when I woke up today, I was like, man, A, I don't want to eat a thing. And B, why did I do I'm too old to eat that shit at that time of day.
You're picking up past you and slapping her across the face. Be smarter next time.
That's worse than a whiskey hangover.
I think Uber Eats has been very damaging to all the stoners out there because now when you're too lazy to go get that KFC craving in the middle of the
They
night,
just bring it to you.
yeah, we're doomed. We're doomed, Chelle. There's nothing we can do about it.
So it's really good and I really like it and it was really cheap, but the only way you can effectively smoke it is if you got some peeps and KFC on the ready.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you were here
Oh, you're gonna kill me.
because I had a lot of fun at the Lilac Craft Market.
I'm just gonna cry.
You are gonna cry. It was at this beautiful old brick building with all these wooden floors. It looked so cool inside. It was awesome. And as we walked in, there was nothing but weed vendors, home growers, and farmers as far as the eye could see.
Now I got a question for you because you texted me this while you were doing this, and I'm sitting here crying reading your damn text. I remember responding to you saying they don't have those around here. And then it dawned on me, how did you find out about this? How are they advertising this? Because maybe they are around here in Massachusetts and I just don't know it.
I highly recommend that you hook up with your local Reddit board. I know you've all heard me talk about Reddit and subreddits before, and also Instagram. Those are two of my favorite ways to find local people wherever I go. As you all know, I'm quite nomadic, and I tend to not stay in one place for too terribly long. And so finding new plugs can be a little difficult. You don't always want to go to the most expensive shop right down on the main strip.
Right. Like I do.
Plus, I like to hook up with other local growers. I want to trade some of mine for some of theirs. And you're not going to get the same quality in a store. We've often talked about my distaste for stale West Coast weed on the East Coast.
Right.
You get that in the stores a lot. So I like to find local growers and farmers so you can find the really good, the kind, crystally, sticky, icky that we adore.
Yeah.
They had that here in spades. I loved it. There was so many vendors. I got to meet a local superstar, a woman who has a business called Cookie Smack.
What makes a superstar? Let's just start there. Why is she a superstar?
On the subreddit for the local city that I'm currently staying in, I look for a few code words. Obviously, you can look for cannabis, marijuana, smokers, but sometimes people kind of keep it on the down low. And one thing you can look for is Ents, Ents, because the Ents are the tree people in the Lord of the Rings books and movies. And so an Ent is someone who smokes cannabis. So I was able to find the specific city Ent board, and there you hear a lot about some of the local farmers and crafters. And Cookie Smack was well known for her delicious cookies that would smack you upside the head with their THC potency. So I was very happy to meet her and her lovely husband. Fabulous people, super nice. Oh my gosh, so sweet. Unfortunately, I embarrassed her a little bit because I asked her to be on the podcast. And although she's very social at events, I think she's a lot like me and is not as maybe comfortable being social as we might first appear. But I am so sorry. You guys are wonderful. Love your product. Fantastic weed, fantastic cookies. So yeah, Cookie Smack. And I found out about her and this event on the local subreddit.
I'm writing this down. I put Salem Ents for Weed Farmers Market.
So you can often find some local things there. Check out your local Instagram, Signal. If you're on Signal, you can check it there, and your local subreddit. But anyway, so I found them advertised there. Went to this wonderful event. They had a local musician comedian there. We saw some fabulous local crafters that make the cutest little stash jars, ashtrays, anything you could want, and tons of locally grown cannabis. Now, I, of course, had to pass by the frat boys with their cute little lit up Amazon jars full of beautiful weed. No offense, frat boys, it was gorgeous weed. But right next to them was a nerdy looking dude and his adorable nerdy looking girlfriend. And their whole table was filled with weed jars and Dungeons and Dragons books.
Those are your people. Your
Yeah,
people.
So I had to apologize. I walked right by the frat boys and they're like, hey, we have weed too. And I'm like, Yeah, but he's got D&D.
I was gonna say, but he's got D&D, man.
Yeah, oh yeah. The marketing totally sucked me in.
Oh my God, it looks like a
It
die.
is. It's a D20. It's a 20-sided die, and it says D20 Grow Co. And that's their name. And it's got like a sword going through that. It's just the greatest people. And they grow some amazing weed. They had some Tahoe OG, some white rhino.
Oh my God, I haven't had white rhino in like a couple of years.
In addition to those, he also had something I have never heard of before, a cultivar called Orange Chameleon. Delicious sativa dominant, high THC, but the flavor, Chelle. Oh my good giddy aunt. You know that I am such a sucker for a
For a
taste.
flavor,
I
yeah.
am a sucker for a good flavor. And this had the most delightful, literally tasted like a grapefruit citrus flavor.
Ooh.
So, so good. It's almost gone, and I am super sad. Oh, I have a little left. But tiny bit purple, beautiful color, light green color, very crystally, very well grown. Nice nugs from a local grower.
Ooh.
Bravo. Love it. And the taste was delicious.
So we apparently both have great weed today.
I do. I'm smoking some of this right now, and oh my goodness, the flavor is off the hook. I cannot wait to get in touch with these guys again and tell them how amazing their weed is. Maybe share some tips, swap some clones, because I need to grow this in my garden. It's fantastic.
And you're such a good grower.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be going back to photo period. I do love the ease and convenience of auto flowers, but photo period all the way.
But as much as we could just go on and have a whole podcast about weed, truly.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't
I,
get me on a tangent.
you know how sometimes when you're smoking, you get really kind of woo, and then you start looking stuff up on the internet.
Oh, yeah, I totally do. I was looking for haunted objects. I got super high and went down amazing rabbit holes. But what happened to you?
I did the same thing. I wanted to do a story in a certain area. So I was like, I searched that area and I found a place and I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I'll talk about this week. All the listeners will love it. So I start researching it. I see a link on a story and I click on it. Well, that's where I just did a left turn. I have ditched my original story.
So it's one of those things. You went down a rabbit hole and then you got sidetracked by something by something
Better.
more interesting.
Put it this way.
Pardon me while I cough a lung up.
This will explain everything to you in one sentence. I started investigating a haunted location and found a frickin' plethora of cryptids.
Oh, my cryptid queen stumbled upon some cryptids. Color me surprised.
So as you can imagine, guess what went to the wayside? The
A
haunted
haunted place, and you
place.
followed the cryptid trail. Of course you did.
This also, it has kind of a tie-in to, what we know and love, my birthy land and your transplanted land. We're going to talk about some places along the Susquehanna River. I was born in a town along the Susquehanna. I said to
You
my
also a coal miner's daughter.
no, I'm not. I swear to God. But I did say to my boyfriend today, I said, you know how you can tell if someone's from upstate New York? And he goes, how? No, although this would go for Pennsylvania too. He goes, how? I go, because I can spell Susquehanna.
Yeah,
And I
that's
don't
true.
even have to look it up. So I was looking at this place that happened to be on the Susquehanna, and it led me to find that the whole Susquehanna frickin' river is like rife with cryptid activity,
Really? I
except for the town where we're from.
Are you kidding? Of course that's why we never heard of it. I just happened to move to the town that has
Or there's
zero
nothing.
cryptids.
Zero. But every other stretch of the damn Susquehanna. Now, this is an interesting history lesson too that I'd like
Okay.
to point out to you. Apparently, I found, and shit me not, this is on Wikipedia. The Susquehanna River is one of the oldest existing rivers in the world. It is older than the mountain ridges through which it flows.
Really?
Hell yeah. Who
Interesting.
knew? This river goes from right around Cooperstown. You know where Cooperstown is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it goes from right around Cooperstown all the way to the Chesapeake Bay. It's like 480 miles long. I mean, we just think of it as the river in our town.
Yeah, it's just right there.
This apparently is like 485 miles long, and it is like
No
one of the
shit.
oldest existing rivers. Who knew?
I had no idea. That fact that it's one of the oldest existing rivers, first of all, explains all the cryptids, but I had no idea.
I had
Never
no
heard that
idea
before.
either. Neither had I. But I was like, holy crap, how can you live next to this river your whole life and not know that?
Did
But
not know.
here we are, folks. So just to cut now, like I said, none of them are from our area, of course. That's the luck. But there's a couple, because like I said, more than one. One of them is called the Kettle Creek Monster, or they call it the West Branch Dugong, or they call it the Susquehanna Seal.
Okay.
I love this. Um,
Interesting.
it is said to lurk in the waters near Lock Haven in Clinton County, which is in Pennsylvania. And basically, this creature dates back over a century. There's an article from the Daily Democrat dated February 27th of 1887 that describes this freaking creature going up and down and like eating people on the riverbanks. It said it had the bulk of an ox or a hippopotamus, but obviously we know that
They don't live in the
hippopotamuses are not
Susquehanna.
right, nor are they native to America.
No.
I mean, we just don't have hippos lying around. It was described as the monster was not the form or image of anything else on Earth.
So it's something they've never seen before.
Now, in 1897, obviously there was a different perspective, but they pretty much knew all major big animals. And they said it
Yeah.
would make a horrible howling noise and it would be like thrashing at night. And it would capsize lumber rafts because that was a big transportation river.
That's creepy.
And because there was a lot of transportation going on it, they would be traveling goods and this thing would like sink boats, apparently.
Wow. Can you imagine going down the river and then like some unknown creature capsizes your raft? I'd be so scared.
Weirdly enough, it says that reports of the creature became less and less frequent in the early 1900s. Many believed it died or escaped to the ocean through underground caverns.
Are there underground caverns that connect the Susquehanna to the ocean?
Well, it takes you to the Chesapeake Bay that connects it to the ocean. So yeah, basically.
Oh, wow. Well, I know
Basically.
that Seneca Lake has underground. They don't know how deep Seneca Lake is because of the underground caves that connect it to some of the other lakes. But I didn't know there were some in the Susquehanna too.
Apparently.
That's wild.
So then there's called the mystery thing, Susquehanna's mystery thing. This one is from Northumberland County. This is another one that is said to lurk in the waters near the river's confluence. It's seen as recently as the 2000s. It's basically like this, I don't even know how they described it, almost like a small submarine about to surface,
Wow, that big?
but like that shape too. So in the early 2000s, there was an outdoor guide named Ken Maurer. Again, I might be saying his name wrong. He had seen the creature, described it as a small submarine about to surface. He says it pushed a wake that made waves that lapped up on the shoreline. Then it sank out of sight. And over the next year or two, he saw it several times, and it would always sink out of sight before this guy would get close enough to kind of see it clearly. It was absolutely impossible to be a fish, impossible to be an eel. It was basically described kind of like as big as a small boat. All I could think of is Loch Ness Monster without the long neck.
Yeah, it sounds like a fat, short Loch Ness monster.
What another one, and again, you know how I am with pronunciation. I think it's called the Squonk in northern PA in the Hemlock Forest. They call it a sad mythical creature with a pig-like saggy skin covered in warts and blemishes.
Does sound sad. I would be sad.
No, but it spends much of his life weeping.
Oh, even sadder.
It generally hides in the hemlock woods, but it does go into the river. And they actually caught one in a lumber yard.
No shit.
Yeah,
What did they do with it?
it escaped,
Uh,
and they don't know how.
so it's like a crying warty thing? Does it
Yeah.
look human?
No, it looks like kind of a pig-like creature, but it goes in and out of the water.
Weird.
Then in North Bend, Clinton County, they have what's called the swamp angel. That I don't know. When I think angels, I'm thinking these beautiful winged
Yeah, and
creatures.
pretty, angelic.
Swamp angel.
Does this one also look like a pig?
No. According to legend, escaped slaves captured a Native American brave and maiden. They killed the man. The woman was able to flee, but being stricken by grief, she drowned herself in quicksand.
Aw.
And so basically, the swamp angel is this Native American maiden, and her spirit would help you if you went to the swamp and asked. So, like, if you had, I don't want to say a wish per se, but a wish, you could go to the swamp and ask her, and she would appear over the swamp. You'll love this. You'll love this more than anything. She would appear as a glowing orb.
It's like a lady in white and an orb story all in
All in
one.
one.
I love this.
You'll have to go to North Bend in Clinton County.
Oh, it's on my list right now. We are going.
Now, the most famous account of the swamp angel originated with a man named Isaac Gaines. He was kind of like one of those witch slash monster hunters during his time. And he is said to call upon the aid of the swamp angel to break a witch's curse. I don't know, that sounds hypocritical to me, but whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what? How he summoned her?
How?
He burned foxfire. Remember Foxfire? Different podcast. So the rumor in that area is the next time you find yourself in a pickle, make your way along the West Branch section and ask the swamp angel to help you.
Wow, and maybe she'll help you out. That's pretty wild. Are there any accounts of anyone who asked her for help and she gave them help?
Well, this guy Isaac, yeah.
Well, I meant anyone else. Like,
Oh
anyone?
no, not that I could find anyway.
Wow, that sounds really cool. A lady in white that shows up as an orb. And I'm counting her as a lady in white because her story meets
Angel.
the whole thing. You know, it's a tragic love story where she commits suicide and now haunts the area. Fits the trope.
Clinton County, part of Susquehanna River, must be a hot spot. And you know how I love these damn cryptid names that are crazy.
These are all awesome.
The next one, it's called a G-Woggle.
Ooh, a G. I still like Squonk.
Okay.
Squonk is awesome, but G Woggle is right up there. G Woggle and Squonk are like my new best friends.
Now, the G-Woggle holds the title of the official monster of Clinton County.
Oh, so there's several unofficial. Is that what they're implying?
Well, I guess the Squonk is like number 2, and this is number 1.
Okay.
Now, this is described mostly as a mishmash of animals. It was called upon by local witches to wreak havoc and mayhem on farmers who offended them.
Okay. I can see that. I can see that.
Described to be about 6 feet tall, shaped like a wolf, but stood on its back legs. And instead of front paws, it had bird claws. And instead of back feet, it had horse hooves.
That sounds terrible.
So, body of a wolf, front claws,
Of a bird.
back claws of a horse.
Okay. This sounds like one very confused animal. Why would witches do that? It doesn't sound like a witch thing.
I don't know.
Okay, anyway.
I don't know.
So what did the wolf do? What did the wolf horse bird thing do?
Nothing really.
Oh, just
It was
ran
just
around
huge.
terrorizing people?
Yeah, it just freaked people out and wanted to be left alone.
Okay, all right.
Now,
Sounds like me.
another thing in Clinton County, like I said, I think Clinton County is a hot spot. They have what they also call the water witch.
Ooh, okay. Maybe she made the horse wolf bird thing.
She is said to have power over the wind and weather, often appearing to sailors. Like, apparently, she's like deep in history. There was a guy named Henry Shoemaker who did a book called The Susquehanna Legends. In his book, he wrote about the old mountaineers, saying that the water witch was an Indian girl who suddenly changed her mind towards her lover, and having influence with the gods, the deserted one made her into unchanging water, and in her helpless state, she mocks petty aspirations of mankind. So she's kind of a mocker, but she kind of like brings people to a dreamlike destiny, they say.
Is she trying to lead people to their deaths, or is she just trying to like give them dreams?
There's people that have disappeared that they've never found. Let's just put it that way. But there's other people that had like epiphanies with her.
Oh, wow. Okay. So one of those that could go either way kind of hauntings.
It says basically if you journey to go find the water witch, think twice. You may not get the fortune you hoped for. I feel like it's a be careful what you wish for, you just might get it.
Yeah,
Or word your wishes carefully because they will give you your wishes based on your wording, not your intention.
I gotcha.
Like a troll.
You always should be careful with wishes. Anytime you and a supernatural being of any stripe are making a deal, be very, very careful with your words.
There's also called a Elbit witch. This is from Columbia, Lancaster County.
There's more?
They have it's called no, this, I can't even with this one. They call it a mini apple munching Sasquatch.
What? Does it munch mini apples or is the Sasquatch mini?
Both.
That sounds adorable. I want one.
It's
Can I have
described,
one as a friend? I'll make him a little house in my backyard.
it's described as a 4 foot tall, hairy ape man who's fond of apples.
That sounds great.
It is thought to derive from Pennsylvania Dutch, which is even funnier. And
So that's like your uncle.
they used to call him the apple snitch. He'd steal apples from picnic baskets like freaking Yogi Bear.
Oh my goodness. So your uncle is like cousin it,
Apparently.
but likes apples.
Yes.
I see. I see. Okay.
They have Native American, like, how they still have some of the paintings and drawings from the natives?
Yes.
They have frickin' Native American drawings of these damn things.
He has an indigenous history then.
So basically, you know what we think of as Loki?
Yeah.
Some of these Native American drawings have depicted this in a Loki-like state, like
Oh,
almost
so he's like a trickster.
like a mischievous trickster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So think of like a trickster version, a trickster Sasquatch.
A mini trickster Sasquatch that eats apples? How much cuter could you get?
I mean, come on. How could you be afraid of this thing?
Yeah, like what's there to fear here? Is it just because he snatches your apples or what?
Yeah, basically, like no harm, no foul unless you got apples with you, and then it's like game on.
I'd be leaving apples out for him. I'd be like, here's your apples, man. Go ahead, leave the rest of my crops alone. Here's some apples for you.
But he's been known to torment people with apples.
Oh, like throw the apples at people?
No, he will do stuff mischievously to be able to steal them from you if you have not willingly offered.
Oh, so it's like a trick or treat type of situation, but with apples and a mini Sasquatch.
Correct.
That sounds awesome.
Makes me want to freaking go to Lancaster, man. Damn it.
Anybody who's got an Airbnb in the area and some apple trees, let us know. The Stoned Witches Hour at gmail.com.
Because all I'm thinking of, in Star Wars, there's those little creatures that are
Ewoks.
Those. I'm thinking
Yeah.
that. Eating apples.
Me too. And getting all silly mad and throwing apples and
But with that
playing little tricks on people.
But with that Yogi Bear mentality, give me your picnic basket. Here I am. I was going to do this freaking haunted town, and I end up reading about baby Ewoks on the Susquehanna.
Adorable haunted Ewoks. I love it. That's so cute.
So
wow. So quite the range there.
That was my rabbit hole this week. You go from a bird-clawed, horse-hoofed wolf to cousin it stealing your apples.
I love it. That's adorable.
So
that's
that
the one I'm
just
going to remember.
That just lets you know the ecosystem diversity along the Susquehanna River. And none of this is in upstate New York, mind you.
That's true. That's true. They're smart enough not to go into upstate New York.
Because,
we have enough weirdos here. Thank you.
That was another thing I noted. So I mentioned in the beginning that the Susquehanna is like 485 miles long, and it goes from middle upstate New York all the way down to Maryland. And if you just paid attention here, folks, which if you're high like me, you might have, you might not have, all the cryptids are in Pennsylvania. Just saying.
Ooh, interesting. That's a lot. That's a lot of cryptids along one river, I'll have to say.
Well, I'm just pointing out that the river is also in Virginia, Maryland, and New York, and there ain't no cryptids in Virginia, Maryland, and New York. Only in the Pennsylvania portion of the Susquehanna is the cryptids. So what's up, PA?
Right? Weird. What's in the water there?
Why weren't you sharing your cryptids in upstate New York, damn it?
The taxes are too high. They're not going up there.
Oh, touche.
Well, you have lots of cryptids in one area along one river. I have one haunted item that's been in lots of states and passed through several hands.
Is
So
it a doll? Don't say it's a doll or I'm gonna cry.
it's not a doll, although I
Thank you,
almost
God.
went there. Did you do
Thank
Robert the
you.
doll?
I think we did do Robert
Yeah,
the
you did
doll.
Robert the doll. There's also Annabelle the doll, which
I
we'll
still go
do
back to
sometime.
Chucky.
But no, no, this is a cabinet, a wine cabinet,
A haunted cabinet?
a haunted cabinet. This one has a famous name. It's called the Dybbuk Box.
Now, how does a cabinet get haunted?
Well, this one's haunted by a Jewish demon called a Dybbuk.
A demon?
A demon. Well, it's actually a Dybbuk is a spirit of a person that was a sinner in life, according to Jewish folklore.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? So, this was a person who's an unredeemable, unrepentant sinner. And because of what a bad person they are in life, they're not allowed to pass on.
So they have to become a cabinet?
Sort of. Their soul will then inhabit usually a person. I believe the Dybbuk box is the only known case of it inhabiting an object. Although Zak says that there are 10 Dybbuk boxes in the world, and he has two of them, or 10 maybe haunted boxes. So maybe not necessarily Dybbuk boxes, but a Dybbuk is a Jewish demon of a bad person in life. Usually it attaches itself to a person. However, in this particular case, it was said to inhabit this box. And okay, so the history of this box starts in 2001 when it's purchased by an antiques owner named Kevin Manis. And he's in Portland, Oregon, going to estate sales. And he happens to go to an estate sale of a 103-year-old woman who had been a Holocaust survivor.
Oh, geez.
The estate sale was being put on by her granddaughter. And the granddaughter says that the grandmother had lost everyone, her parents, her siblings, even her first family, her first husband and children. One of the things that she brought with her when she escaped and came to America was this wine cabinet. The granddaughter said that she was absolutely terrified of this box and that her grandmother wouldn't let anyone touch it and said no one was ever to open it because it was possessed by a Dybbuk.
Then why the hell did she bring it to America?
Well, she was trying to keep it safe, I guess. She didn't want it to fall into the wrong hands. So the grandmother said that it held a Dybbuk and was to never be opened. After he bought it, he offered her to open it right then and there, and she was adamant that he not open it, and certainly not anywhere near where she was. And she was quite upset about it. And then he was like, well, if this is so important to you, maybe you should keep it. And she insisted, no, you bought it. I don't want it to stay here. Take it away with you. Just keep it. And asked him to leave and then started crying and walked away from him. Just, I guess, really wanted him to take it. So he brings it back to his shop, his antique shop, and he puts it in the basement. And he leaves to run errands for the rest of the day. And he gets a frantic phone call from his employee while he's out. And she says that it sounds like someone has broken in and is wreaking havoc in the basement. She can hear a man's voice swearing and glass breaking. And he, of course, tells her to call 911 and he'll be right there. As she's responding to him, his phone dies. He gets back to the shop to find his employee sitting in the corner, sobbing and shaken. She just gets up and leaves. He finds that the whole shop reeks of cat urine.
Did they have cats?
No. So like the lights were all off. He couldn't get the lights to turn on. And so he discovered that all of the bulbs were broken in their sockets. And in the basement, he had 4-foot long, those incandescent lights.
Right.
10 of those 4-foot long bulbs were on the ground, shattered. There were no signs of any intruder in the shop, nothing to indicate that someone had come in, nothing stolen. He didn't associate it with the box at this point. And he, when he spoke to the employee later, she just said that she wasn't coming back. So all the lights in the shop kept blowing. Anytime he'd replace a light bulb, very quickly it would go bad or would literally explode. And this kept happening the entire time he had the Dybbuk box in his possession. He did open the box, and inside of it...
Okay, there's a fuck around and find out moment.
Right? Inside it, he found 2 wheat pennies, a 1925 and a 1928, a lock of blonde hair, a lock of very dark brown hair tied together with string, a slab of granite that was engraved with the Hebrew word shalom, which means peace, a dried rose, a golden goblet, and a black candlestick holder that had like octopus tentacles made of iron.
That just gives me a vibe hearing about it, and I haven't even seen it, touched it, blah.
Now, he did not associate the odd occurrence with his employee and some of the different strange things that had happened at his shop since he got the box. At the time, he did not associate it with the Dybbuk box.
What a silly man.
Right? A few months later, he gave the box to his mother. Just happened to be on Halloween of that year.
Now, I just want to say, who I would do this, but we all know how I am. Who gives their mother a demon box besides me?
Well, again, he thought it was just kind of he just thought it was like an antique. He really was very skeptical. Immediately upon receiving the box, she had a stroke.
Oh shit. Oh shit. What do you do? Do you take the box back? Do you give it to Goodwill? Like, what do you do at that point?
She was not able to speak after this for quite some time, but she was able to point to letters and communicate. And the very first thing she spelled out was NOGIFT, no gift. Then she spelled out hate gift.
How do you not start seeing coincidence here?
Right? So then he decided to give the cabinet to his sister.
This guy hates his family, doesn't he? This guy just hates his family.
Right? So then she gave it back after 1 week. She said that the doors on the cabinet would not stay closed, and she kept finding it with the doors wide open. There's no springs. It's just very simple hinges. So nothing to indicate why it would spring open or she would find it open all the time. And she kept having nightmares. So she didn't like it in her house and gave it back. He then gave it to his brother, and he kept it for 3 weeks.
I love this guy.
And he said that the cabinet itself reeked of jasmine flowers. And he said his wife said that she could not stop smelling cat piss.
It's almost like some people smelled the sweet smell and some people didn't they smelled the urine smell. And I think it might be either the box was okay with you or it wasn't okay with you.
Maybe. That's quite possible. So he tried giving it then to his girlfriend. And after 2 days, she gave it back and said, sell it.
He hates everybody in his life. Oh my God.
So he decided to sell it at his shop, and a nice couple came in and purchased it. And 3 days later, when he came to open up the shop, in front of the shop with a nice little note on top of it is the Dybbuk box.
You know, I wonder if it's one of those items that, like, you know how sometimes there can be like a haunted item and it like it's yours. Like, I don't give a shit what you do, it's yours, and it keeps coming back. Like, maybe this is somehow destined to be his.
Maybe. The note that the couple left on the box said, "This has a bad darkness.
Take it back. Take it back." That's hysterical.
He kept it at his house after that, and he kept having recurring nightmares where he'd be hanging out with someone that he knew or a loved one or a friend, and they would be doing something normal, and then that friend would turn into a dark, evil, demonic-looking old woman with like sunken black eyes.
And that's what you get for giving a demon box to every member of your family, literally.
Right? And he would smell the intense scent of jasmine and cat urine. Anytime people would come to his house, they would also have the same type of reactions. They would feel sick. Some people would get physically ill. He didn't have any pets, but people would report smelling the cat urine. So after some family visited and all had nightmares, he said he started to see black shadows in his peripheral vision. And other people that would come to the house started seeing the shadows more and more often as well. He put the cabinet in a storage unit outside, but the smoke alarm in the unit kept going off in the middle of the night. And there'd be nothing burning, but the unit would reek of cat urine. And so he decided to bring it back in the house and kept waking up every day at 4:30 a.m., smelling cat urine and feeling like somebody was watching him. So he felt like it was getting worse. He then decides to sell the box on eBay.
I love it. I love it. I love this guy. I got a demon box that gave my mom a stroke. Let me get my ass on eBay. I love it.
He detailed all of this in his eBay post. And at the bottom of it, he said, "Help me."
Zak Bagans sees this on eBay.
Well, no, Zak Bagans didn't get it there. Sold it to a young man for $140.
And this is still like what, early-ish 2000s?
Early 2000s. Let's see, the first owner, Kevin Manis, had it for 2 years, I think, from 2001 to 2003. And then it was auctioned off on eBay and purchased by a gentleman named Yosef Nitsky. His username was Spasmolytic. He started having the exact same type of things, the smells of cat urine. He said he and his roommates started to have, one of them got like bronchitis out of the blue. Someone else broke a finger. People would wake up after having nightmares of being attacked by an old woman with literal bruises and scratches on their body.
Yeah.
They said that the box would repeatedly, just like Kevin's sister, he and his roommates would find the box open after they had shut and latched it.
So my first question is, who's the old woman?
Probably the Dybbuk, I'm guessing, that's stuck to the box. You know, the cat piss smell and the jasmine, that sounds like cat lady with jasmine perfume or something, you know?
We've known a few of them.
So that sounds like that may be the spirit that was tied to the box. The very next day after he got the box home from the auction, he woke up. One of his eyes was bloodshot, like he had pink eye, bright red and weeping and just terrible. That was just the first of all the different maladies that happened. Rashes, the broken finger, people getting sick.
Oh, shit.
He had the box for 8 months, and he said that the entire time it reeked of cat urine, and he had nothing but bad luck the entire time, and he had to get rid of it. So 8 months later, he sold it again on eBay. That winner was Jason Haxton. Jason says he won the auction in June of 2003. From the moment he got the box, he knew it was bad news. So Jason Haxton paid $280 for the box, and immediately upon receiving it, felt terrible effects. He said he felt stabbing pains in his stomach and started having dreams of the creepy old lady that other people had had when they were in possession of the Dybbuk box. It's also rumored, and I couldn't find anything corroborating this, but I did find a couple stories that said that Haxton eventually put the box in his basement, trying to keep it away from people. And at one time, they found that someone who had broken into the house was dead in the basement next to the box.
Oh, shit.
And that was reported by the original owner, Kevin Manis. So I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I have seen it reported a couple times. After this, Jason Haxton reached out to some rabbis and some different people to try and figure out what was going on. And he says he was told to put it in a box that was lined with gold. So he had a box made of acacia wood, lined it with gold leaf, and put it in there, hid it away. He didn't take it out until
Zak Bagans.
No, but even before Zak, he's contacted by Sam Raimi, who directed Spider-Man movies. And so he contacts him about this story, the Dybbuk Box story, and writes the movie The Possession that came out in 2012 based on people's experiences with the Dybbuk Box.
Oh, no shit. Now I'm going to have to check out that movie.
Right? And so the Dybbuk Box then comes to the attention of Zak Bagans. And he decides to get Jason to kind of
let him investigate.
He takes this box out of storage for Zak and to show it on the show Deadly Possessions. And so they put it in what's like some special containment room, some spirit containment room, I guess, that Zak has.
Which, by the way, Zak Bagans is my favorite fuck around and find out guy.
Sounds like it from this. He's got a whole room built for it. So he puts this box in the room and invites Kevin Manis, the original owner who had all those paranormal experiences with it, to come back and kind of open it in that room in a safe space. When he opened it, everything was still in the box.
Wait. Before you continue, so this guy opened it originally before his mom had a stroke. Had anybody else opened it since until now?
You know, it opened itself at like Kevin's sister's house.
So, like nobody else like willfully opened it.
I don't believe so. It wasn't opened again. It was put away. Haxton put it away, locked it in a box, a gold-lined box to keep it safe, and then brought it out for Zak after this whole movie thing. I believe he brought it out for Sam Raimi and everything for the movie, but then brought it out again for Deadly Possessions. I don't think
Okay,
it
what
was
happened with
open.
Zak Bagans? I gotta know. I gotta know.
So Kevin Mannis, the original owner, is in this room with it. And as soon as he opens the Dybbuk box, all the lights in the building started going on and off. And everybody's hearing all these strange noises. And then Kevin himself in the room, his face like went blank and his voice changed. And they said he kind of like turned to face the wall, like very Blair Witchy. He started to almost sing song, tell a story about a shadow man.
I'm not trying to sign off foofy, but did he basically kind of get possessed, for lack of a better way to say it?
It very much sounds like it because he started speaking in a strange language. He was making strange sounds. And physically, Zak said that this man's body started sweating and he started coughing uncontrollably.
Almost like he turned into an old woman.
Almost.
Oh my God.
So Zak, of course, purchased the Dybbuk box.
Of course.
It was Kevin sold it for $140 and then it was sold again for $280 and then Zak purchased it. I'm not sure for how much. No one will say. Now it's in his museum and it's covered in glass. Its story has not ended. It's actually caused some problems with a very famous person, Post Malone.
Okay. What does Post Malone have to do with a demon box owned by Zak Bagans?
So apparently Zak has owned this box for a few years. And prior to the pandemic, Post Malone came over. Apparently they're friends. Post Malone is also interested in paranormal and ghost hunting and UFOs. And
I didn't even know that, actually.
Yeah, and he's had some experiences himself. They were in the room that holds the Dybbuk box, and they both heard a little girl talking. Zak says that something kind of made him open the box, like take it out of its protective case and open it up. He says that he touched the box and he got like this overwhelming sensation of anger and sadness and panic. And he started to cry and scream. And he said Post Malone touched him on the shoulder and he felt something go from the box through him and into Post Malone.
Oh, shit.
When they were able to leave the museum, Post says he saw a shadow figure go across the parking lot. The very next day, he sent pictures to Zak of bruises on his arm, the arm that he had touched Zak with while he was touching the Dybbuk box.
Right. Oh, what? Did he feel anything in those spots at the time, or just did bruises appear the next day?
Post Malone does say that he did feel something dark pass into him, but he didn't necessarily say he felt anything in his arm, just that the next day there were bruises all along that arm that he had grabbed Zak with while he was touching the box.
Oh, shit.
One day later, so 2 days after he touched Zak, who was touching the box, he's in his private plane getting ready to take off. As the plane gets up to speed, the tire blows.
Oh, that's like my biggest fear. Oh my God.
They had to make an emergency landing.
I feel like I saw that on the news or something.
3 days after that, Post Malone's old house was broken into by robbers who were demanding to see him and took $20,000 worth of cash and valuables from the current owners because Post Malone had recently moved out.
Okay, dear Post Malone, Chelle's got an idea for you. You get yourself a priest, you get yourself a rabbi, you get yourself a fucking shaman, and you get yourself a witch, and then you sit your happy ass down and you have some mega frickin' exorcist shit going on here, okay? Like, this is what we need to do. Post Malone, give me a call. We'll hook you up.
Then the third thing happened. He was involved in a serious car accident.
Oh my God, I remember that. Post Malone, man, get your spiritual people. You got some exercising of them demons to do.
Yep. The car accident totaled his Rolls-Royce Wraith, which is a cool name for a car, by the way. He was in the passenger seat. The car collided with a Kia. I believe it rolled over. His assistant was driving it. After it collided with the Kia, it went through a fence and some bushes. No one was hurt, but the Wraith was totaled.
I have this vision in my head, and you know that scene in Practical Magic where they got all the neighborhood ladies with the brooms all intertwined and they're trying to push out the demon spirit from Nicole Kidman. That's all I can picture. Post Malone in the middle of that circle. Push out the demon man.
right?
So let's fast forward here to 2023. Who
Yes.
owns the box today? Is it still Zak Bagans?
It is still Zak Bagans. He purchased it, or it was donated to him in 2016, and he put it on display in his haunted museum, which I believe is in Las Vegas. It's under a protective case, and it is circled by salt to keep it safe.
I was gonna say protective case. What the hell is that doing for you? But then you added circle assault. Okay, okay. I feel better.
Baggins was going to have a Halloween special where he opened it up, and he said it just wasn't right. It wasn't the right time, and he ended up not opening it up at that time. He has filmed himself for his show walking around his museum with it open, and he said he felt himself like a ton of anger. He felt a lot of anger and pissed offedness bubbling up inside him, but nothing paranormal happened at that time. Who knows what's going on? It definitely affected Post Malone for sure. But I don't
Like
know,
I'm worried for the poor guy. Like, dude, we'll help you.
right? It's still owned by Zak Bagans, who now says that he says there are 10 boxes, and he has two of them. He's acquired a second box, a second Dybbuk box.
This fucker's just asking for trouble. I'm just saying. He's creating a gates of hell in Las Vegas.
Right?
He's like building a new gates of hell for future generations.
Now there are some people who say that it was all made up by the original seller, Manis.
Of course there is.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain all the horrific things that happened to anyone who has owned it, including Zak Bagans, the current owner, and his friend Post Malone. We'll
I could see, okay, so maybe a guy lies about it and gets another guy to lie about it with him. But you're not going to start from one rando guy all the way to Zak Bagans and Post Malone going along with your lie. So, yeah, no, this has got to be legit.
Now, another fun thing is that when they started production on the movie The Possession, I believe that they had actually seen the cabinet, the Dybbuk box. And shortly after they started production, one of the warehouses that was holding all of their props for the movie burned to the ground.
I got to give you a funny little side note tidbit here.
What's that?
Sometimes we have episodes where we take notes, sometimes we don't. I have a sticky note for today, and I just like to share with you what I have on it right now. This is the gamut of our episode today. I have Ohio ghosts, Ents, because Ents is for farmers markets,
Right.
and then I have the Possession movie.
Well, hey, you got some really good things out of today's episode, it sounds like. Those are really great rabbit holes to go down.
Right. So, I mean, I got to check this movie out because I can't even fathom that he has one, but he got two. And
He's got two.
you know damn well if that motherfucker had access to a third one, he'd pick it up.
Oh, certainly. From what I understand, he says that 8 of the boxes, 8 of the 10, of which he has 2, are accounted for. And there are 2 that are completely unaccounted for.
Now, okay, so like, is there some like sacred text that says there's 10? Like, how does he know this? Where did he get this information?
I'm not really sure. Hey, Zak, email me please at thestonedwitcheshour@gmail.com. I have questions. Tell me about this Dybbuk box. Tell me about the 10. We need to know.
And I want to know, who are the other people that have them? Why do they keep them? Do they have any experience? Like, I got questions, people.
Me too. And I'd love to go to this museum and see the box, because I understand that sometimes people just walking into the room can feel such a strong sensation that they get physically ill, like literally throw up on the spot.
Now, here's the reason I have some of these questions, because I have some freaking inkling that the Catholic Church has one of these.
Oh, they do. In that basement of the Vatican, they've got so many cool things. I'm dying to get in there.
Because damn well, as much as they tell the public they don't believe it, the Catholic Church is all about possessions and shit like that.
Oh, I'm sure.
I know they have one. Like, I have questions.
I have a few questions myself, and I just the idea of a Dybbuk is very interesting. And if it is something that can possess people, I think that can be made to possess an object as well. Any Jewish scholars out there, please let me know if that's true or not. But I have to wonder, like, why? Who is this woman? What happened? Like, what's her
Now, is
story?
this only a Jewish thing?
The Dybbuk? A
Yeah.
Dybbuk specifically, yes, is a Jewish thing.
Then I bet you there's some temple, Jewish temple that has one too.
I'm sure.
Why is it specifically Jewish? Is there a reason? I don't know. I'm asking.
Just that term itself, the Dybbuk, that particular term is a Jewish term.
Okay. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the spirit is of a Jewish heritage or descent.
I would guess that it is because, again, the term comes
Originates.
from,
Okay.
yeah, and I would guess that either someone who was Jewish in life could become a Dybbuk, a demon like that, or possibly if you were cursed by, I don't know if it works that way. I guess I would have to speak to a Jewish scholar to find out. I'm curious.
This is turned into a whole second episode. Now,
Yeah.
here's the real question today. Are we cool enough to get Zak Bagans to come on and talk about this?
Of
Probably
course we
not.
are. Well, we've covered all our bases there.
I think I'm gonna muster, I have social anxiety. We all know this, but I feel like just shooting that guy an email, just shot in the dark and being like, hey, are you willing to come on and talk to us about this box?
Zak, tell us about the Dybbuk Box. We're fascinated. We love your show. We love your stuff. We want to visit your museum. Tell us, give us the skinny on this box. What have you seen? What have you felt? What's going on? Is it over?
And what makes you want more?
Right? Do you have more than just the two? What's your most recent purchase? Anyway.
Questions.
And for all the rest of you lovely listeners, please email us your ghost stories. Keep them coming. We are gathering them for a future Your Stories episode. So send them to thestonedwitcheshour@gmail.com. I'm loving the ones we've got so far, so please keep them coming.
And you know what? I just got to put it out there. If we do happen to have a listener that has one of these boxes, please reach out. We want to talk to you.
If you have any haunted item, please let us know. We're curious.
Yeah, I love it. And like I said at the very beginning, doing this whole podcast has kind of opened my eyes to just how haunted and spiritual America really is. Who knew? Go figure.
Right? And how fun are these collections, from your tarot collection to the Ouija board museum in Salem, Massachusetts? Amazing, by the way.
Right.
To Zak Bagans and his museum. I mean, I just have old books, but how fun are these? I mean, anybody that's got a haunted anything, please let me know. I'm curious.
All right, folks, we're going to wrap this up. And next week, we are going to have episode 65. We're going to have some good weed, some good stories.
And hey, it's going to be 420 here in a couple days.
That just dawned on me. Oh my
We hope
God.
you all have a happy high holiday, and we will have some amazing, hopefully high ghosty stories for our next episode, which will come right after that holiday. So enjoy responsibly and stay high and stay happy.